Welcome to Forte's Leadership Development Program. Today we have with us Bradley Rice. He is the upcoming celebrity within Salesforce, and we are so happy to have him here. As far as I know about Bradley and the little I know, he is one of the best career developers for anyone that's thinking about the Salesforce ecosystem. And today we have with us Forte's cohort. We have Lakshmi, Jane, Divya, Pallavi, Mabel, Rupa, Therese, Gayatri, and Kavita. That is our cohort who are studying really hard for their Salesforce Admin Certification, and who other than Brad could actually guide them through this process. So Brad, I will hand it off to you to give your introduction, and then to the ladies.
Excellent. Yes. So thank you, number one, for having me on. I am honored to be here in front of you and sort of allowing you to take your time to hear what I have to say. So yes, I do work with a lot of students and what I like to call members, as far as not only getting people from day one to their Salesforce certification, because I know a lot of people focus on Salesforce certifications, and I think a lot of people do it well. So I think Trailhead is a wonderful resource. I think there are other resources that you can actually pay for to get your Salesforce certifications. And I think that the right people are already doing that, and the training is already available. So I'm not interested in recreating the wheel. I'm interested in coming in and adding value where I feel that I can. So I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 10 years now. I started as a Salesforce administrator. I moved forward into senior administration, then worked with big consulting firms for about 5 years. And now I've been a freelance independent consultant for the last 5 years. During the last couple of years, I focused a lot of energy on realizing how fortunate I am in my life to have Salesforce and to have developed this career into something that can provide for my family and provide for my future. And I have no reason to withhold that information. I would much rather work with individuals who are looking to have success with Salesforce and use the knowledge that I've garnered over the past 10 years to help show them how to sort of skip past the hurdles that I've had to pass over and jump right into the success side of having a career in Salesforce. So for that reason, I take my knowledge, and I'm less focused on certifications. They're extremely important, but I'm more focused on helping people understand, how do I go from certification to landing my first job? How do I go from landing my first job to moving into high-paying consulting jobs? How do I move from being a consultant to being a freelance independent consultant and furthering my career and flexibility even further? So that's where I like to focus my energy, is less on certifications and more on Salesforce career development. So I'm super excited to share that and hope to give you guys a lot of value.
So that's one thing which I told these women, that less certifications. Yes, certifications is a must for you now that you're trying to get into the workforce, but think about what your knowledge is on the product. Focus on the product and get strong on that.
That's right.
So ladies, now I'm going to open it up to all of you. I hope that you're prepared with your questions for Brad, and we will start off. I'm just going to leave the floor open. So if you need to ask, just raise your hand, and I think we should be, Brad should be able to pick it up from there.
Sure. All right. I
Jane.
see one hand.
Yes,
right.
That's me. Hi, I'm Jane. Brad, I'm going to jump right into it.
Sure.
Jumping to the point where, say, we get our first job in Salesforce, to just let you know, I'm an experienced IT person. I started many years ago, took a gap of about 8 years, and now I'm getting back into my career, and I jumped on Salesforce. Celia offered me this opportunity. So I come from an experienced background. Now, having said that, Salesforce is new to me. Once I achieve my certification and get my first job, for all of us, what can we expect as a new Salesforce admin at a company? You know, I go through the super badges and I go through setting up organizations, and I'm thinking, am I going to walk in and be expected to do this on my first day? Because right now, as you know, I am kind of hunting around and looking at my notes and So what is the first job like, you know, as a junior new admin?
Yeah, so obviously that depends on the company and that depends on the culture. But generally speaking, if you're going into a large company, you're going to be a junior resource and that's going to be understood. So you'll be working with a Salesforce team where you'll likely have a senior above you who's there to direct you and sort of say, you know, if you're working with the team, they're not going to just set you up as an administrator right away and just let you loose on the org. They're going to be a little apprehensive too, just like you are. And they're probably going to assign you some tickets like, hey, we need some new users set up, or we need some reports built. Let's see what you're capable of. Maybe we'll let you into the sandbox to build some new process builders or flows or whatever it is, so we can test your knowledge and really see what you know. And they're going to try to vet you and sort of find your barriers. And having barriers is perfectly fine. I don't know everything about Salesforce after 10 years. You're never going to know everything about Salesforce. Mm-hmm. But you are going to be expected to be resourceful. So you're going to need to come to your network, which are the people sitting right here on this call. And I'm sure other people that you have in your network, and say, hey, I just got hit with this specific requirement and I think I know how to do it, but do you mind, you know, hopping on a screen share with me and we can talk it through? And then of course you'll have the people at your company that can work with that with you. And then you'll have Trailhead and you'll have Google and you'll have all of these resources to go to. And you all are aware of the Salesforce Ohana. And that is not just a tagline or a thing to make Salesforce look good. There is a true Ohana family in the Salesforce environment. If you haven't found it yet, you should, because you can go to LinkedIn, there are Facebook groups, there are the Trailblazer community groups. There's so many places you can go. And I can tell you from experience that if you were to come to my Salesforce group and say, I'm having this question and I don't know how to handle this, number one, you're going to get expert answers from people who are just as good at Salesforce as I am. Because like I try to point out, I consider myself an expert at career development in the Salesforce space. I'm also really good at Salesforce because I've been doing it for 10 years, but there are people who maybe work in more intense job environments than I do. So they learn faster, they're more cutting edge, or they dove into flows and they have it all just dialed in. And they can help you more than I can. And a lot of people will like mention me in my Salesforce group and they'll say, Bradley, can you help me with this? And I'm like, I'm one of many people that are willing to help you with this. And I may not even be the best person to help you with this, but I'm always willing to help. And I think the point behind that is the Salesforce Ohana will always help you. And they're never going to, when you get into the right groups and you find the right people, no one's ever going to ask you for money. No one's ever going to personal message you and try to get you to buy into something. They're just going to help you. And I think you're going to find an abundance of help. So I like to tell beginners, don't be so nervous about your first job. Let that be more about socializing and getting into the company culture and like fitting in with your coworkers, and worry less about your Salesforce skill, because you're going to have it. If you got your certification and you really are focused and you're showing up for events like this, then you've already got more motivation than 90% of the people out there. So you're not going to have an issue with your focus and your drive and your ability to overcome. You're just going to need to make sure that you're fitting in with your coworkers, that you feel comfortable with your coworkers. And then if you ever have an issue from a Salesforce standpoint, the Ohana will support you. I can pretty well tell you that.
I can attest to that, because that's how my journey started. It didn't start just in 2019, as I always say. It started in 2016 when I first went to the world tour in New York, and I actually met Mark Benioff, and I was floored after that. And I'm here with you guys. The next question.
Well, and let me finish that off. Just let me make sure I answer your question, because I know I sort of went down this Ohana side. So if you're working with a large company, you're going to have seniors above you. If you move into a smaller company, you may very well be the only resource. But here is sort of the benefits of that. Number one, no one's going to be looking over your shoulder, because you're going to be the Salesforce magician. Okay, like that, and that's the way this works, is that when people get into Trailhead, if they don't have a guide, if they don't have someone to say, do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is going to be a lot of learning and you're going to understand it, just give it time. You might have a management person at your company who's like, okay, I'm going to go learn Salesforce. Let me get into Trailhead. And then they sort of jump around to a few different topics and they're like, whoa, this is too much. There's so much. I need a certified expert to do this for me. And now here you come in and you're the certified expert. And yes, you're by yourself. And yes, it's all up to you. And your company is going to give you requirements. Your biggest hurdle there is going to be setting expectations and being honest and saying, and I know, I don't necessarily want to call it honesty, but I know there's some cultural differences with different groups of people feeling compelled to say yes to everything or feeling compelled to say, I know when they don't know. And what they really mean is I'm going to figure it out and I'll do whatever it takes. But I would say specifically in the US job market and in the UK job market also, it's very important to be honest up front, and that is valued a lot, to say, I don't 100% know if that's going to work or if I can do that, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to come back to you with the best practice solution within the next couple of hours. We're going to figure out what your requirement is and how we can solution for that in Salesforce. I have a couple of ideas, but I want to make sure I align you with the exact correct idea. So let me circle back with you. We're going to get this up and running. I'll build it in a sandbox. I'll demo it to you. We'll be good to go. So a lot of it is about setting expectations, because I can tell you, if you show up in front of your manager and you say, yes, I can have that done by the end of the day, and then you don't, you just set an expectation and then failed. But if you can come to it and say, I feel fairly confident that I know exactly how I'm going to do this. Let me run back to my desk. Let me hit the drawing board. Let me make sure I solution this properly. Let me mock something up and make sure it aligns with what you're asking for. And then we can talk about next steps. And in that way, you're setting an expectation that I don't know everything, but I'm going to figure it out, and I will continue to figure it out for the rest of my career, and I will serve you as an employer, and you are going to be very happy with me. So I think it's a lot about expectations and not trying to come off as the over-the-top expert on everything, and just being real with yourself and real with your employer about what you're capable of. And that's from job application to interview to meetings when you're on the job. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
It does. Thank you very much.
Excellent. All right. So Pallavi.
Hi, Brad. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for that amazing advice you just gave us. Setting expectations right, I think, is like the most important advice everybody needs when they're going back to work. A little bit about myself. I was a project manager, and like Jane, I took a career break for 7 years, and now I am trying to get back. And I've been playing around with Salesforce, and I absolutely love it. Like how the whole customer journey has been like packed into one single org is amazing. So I was just trying to understand, as a project manager, what kind of opportunities would I be looking for, like having a mix of project management and Salesforce. And I just want to understand like what I can look for like in future.
Yeah, so number one, thank you for that. Project management is a huge part of Salesforce. It's a huge part of every part of Salesforce. So whether you are labeled or titled as a project manager on a team is completely, it doesn't matter. The fact that you have project management experience is key, whether you're a junior administrator, a junior developer, or a senior or a consultant. Project management skills are extremely important, because effectively what you're doing is, even if you walk into a morning meeting and you sit down with the, whatever it is, the IT team or the business services team, or maybe it's the sales or marketing team, and you sit down and they have these requirements and they're saying, I'll first say that people aren't going to talk to you like Trailhead talks to you. And I think that's the first hurdle, is that Trailhead says, log into your playground, open up your process builders, do this. Like, no one's going to come into a marketing meeting and say to you, hey, we need a new process builder for this. No one's going to say that. They're going to give you a requirement. They're going to say, we have this form that we have through our marketing automation system, and we know that it automatically creates a new lead in Salesforce. And that's about all we know. But we need a way to follow up with these people. We need a way to get these people assigned to the right reps. We need a way to automatically email them once they come into Salesforce to let them know that the form filled out properly and they got what they needed. And that's how they're going to talk to you. They're not interested in using Salesforce lingo most of the time. they're interested in telling you their requirements, and it's your job to translate that into Salesforce and to hear what they're saying and to gather those requirements and build it into Salesforce. So the quick, one-off that I just gave you, okay, they fill out a form. All right, well, I might need a process builder for when a record gets created to automatically send an email alert to the email that was filled out on the lead. I might need to use lead assignment rules to automatically put these people into the right assignments for the right sales rep or the right marketing team member. And I need to ask some more questions about what logic goes behind that. Are there different ways that do we want to round robin it where it goes, there's 3 reps and lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, lead 4, lead 5, lead 6? Or is it based on the state that they're from or the country that they're from or anything? You have to dig into those requirements, and that's your job. Now, a lot of times your clients may understand what you need, but they're not always going to understand what you need. So going back to project management, you may field one requirement in a meeting and then walk out and you go fix it, or you build it. You may field 20 requirements in a meeting, and you may have to take this list of requirements and go back to the drawing board and build that out into a project. And you may have to say, this is going to take 4 weeks to complete, because based on the project plan I just created, we're going to be able to do X, Y, Z. We're going to have to test it. Then I want you to do end user acceptance testing. Then I want to deploy it to production. So that is a project with a timeline where you're setting expectations for how long is this going to take? Why is it going to take that long? What players need to be involved in this to get it done correctly? So there's a lot of project management. Now I'll say, if you're working as a junior administrator, are people going to value your project management skills right away? Maybe not, but I can tell you that they are going to make you a better employee. And the second thing is, when you get to the consulting level, project management is huge and it is majorly valued. And there are project managers on every single project that Salesforce has, or that the consulting firm has. There's going to be a project manager assigned. And if you can be the senior administrator and the project manager on the project, well, all of a sudden you're a hybrid and you're dually valuable to the company. So a lot of people ask me about like Pmp certifications. Like, do I need to get a Pmp certification? And what I typically tell people is, if you're going to be a Salesforce expert, be a Salesforce expert. Is Pmp going to hurt you? No. Does it need to be your number one focus? No. Make sure that you are focusing on Salesforce certifications, because you want your professional profile. You want your CV or your resume. You want everything about you to scream Salesforce, because when I'm coming to hire you, I want to look at you and I want to immediately, without even reading a word, I just want to be able to see the colors, your background image, your pictures, the header, everything should just go, boom, I found the right resource. Now I want to dig in further, but I know I found somebody who's passionate about Salesforce. So now I'm going to take a second look, where if I click and maybe don't have a background image, or maybe I can't find Salesforce directly on the page and I'm having to sort of shuffle around for it, forget about it. I'll look at the next resume, because I can't figure out, is this person seriously interested in Salesforce, or are they trying to be generically available for any job anywhere that they can be a project manager for? So I would say lean into Salesforce, make Salesforce your number one, but highlighting your project management skills and experience is definitely key. And I would definitely find a way to pull that in and highlight it as part of your profile.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. So next question. All right. So Maybell.
Hi. Is there a lot of junior positions available? Because I worked as a business analyst last 2 years ago. I have a 2-year gap now. So when I was looking, there wasn't many junior business analyst positions available. Even if there is some, they're still asking for like 3-year experience. I don't see much. Otherwise, you have to be a college student for having less years of experience. So I haven't checked any jobs with the Salesforce yet. So I don't know how many junior positions are available.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. I think that's a great question. That's a pretty common question. So good news. I have a great answer for that. All right. So number one, I want to point out that, and I think you all are certainly aware of this, but a lot of people get confused on this on the forefront. I actually had one of my students going through the Salesforce certifications, and then she announced that she landed her first job. And she landed her first job at Salesforce, at the company Salesforce, not one of their customers, but at Salesforce. And so I asked her, and I was like, that's really interesting that you applied at Salesforce. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, because you could apply for any one of their 200,000 customers. What made you go after Salesforce? And she was like, I thought that was the whole point. And then I realized I was a horrible teacher and I needed to improve because clearly I had miscommunicated something. But the funny thing is that she thought everyone in this membership was looking to land a job at Salesforce. She didn't understand the bigger picture of all of the customers that use Salesforce and need to have experts on staff. So number one, I'll say, make sure to understand that you're making yourself available to the 200,000 customers that Salesforce has. And there's every single day, there are new people who need new positions. Now, here's the thing about posting online, and it's bad news, but it's good news for you once you understand it. Recruiters have a job, right? So there are recruiters everywhere who are posting hundreds and thousands of job postings online. You're saying, I can't find a junior role. I agree with you. I've looked for junior roles. I focus on finding people jobs or not necessarily finding jobs, but teaching people to find jobs. So a big part of that is, how do I search for jobs? Where do I search for jobs? What filters do I apply? So I will give you my quick advice. Number one, a lot of times the hiring managers don't even know what they're looking for. They just know they need a Salesforce somebody. And I will tell you that it is probably 99% of job postings are going to say they need 2, 3, or 4 years experience. And they don't. They don't know that though. So don't blame them. It's just a lack of knowledge around them knowing what they need. So the hiring managers a lot of times just think, I need somebody with 4 years experience because I need somebody really good, right? And the Salesforce career development path moves so quickly. Someone with 4 years experience is probably a senior consultant making 6 figures at some consulting firm. They're never going to come on with your company who just installed Salesforce and is looking for somebody to make $50 or $60 or $70,000. You're never going to find someone with 4 years experience or 3 years or even 2 years experience willing to make that low of a level of income, because the Salesforce job market demands so much more money for someone with 3 or 4 years experience. And they are going to get blindsided when somebody comes in for an interview and they're like, wow, that was awesome. I really enjoyed it. We would like to offer you $70,000. And they're going to go, are you kidding me? $70,000? That's absurd. I'm making $100,000 at my current employer. So number one, learn to don't take these job postings at face value. So that's hiring managers. The other side is recruiters. And they're putting up 100 job postings, maybe 20 a day, 100 a week, especially at big companies like Mason Frank or someone like that. So you have these people posting jobs where they're literally just copying a template and pasting it into the next job, and then copying a template and pasting it into the next job. And guess what they all say at the very top? 3+ years experience. Every single one. It doesn't matter which client they're posting that for. They all say 3 years experience. So here is what I urge you to do. Ignore how much experience they ask you to have. Completely ignore it. Wipe it away. Pretend you never saw it. Read the job description and determine if you have the skills to meet the requirements in the job description. And you are going to find very quickly that you're going to see a lot of these that say, we're looking for someone with 3 years experience. They need to have the admin certification, and the advanced admin is a plus. Someone with 3 years experience with 1 certification is unheard of. So having the advanced admin certification as a plus immediately tells me you're looking for a junior resource. You're not looking for someone with 3 years experience. You're looking for someone with 1 certification. That's a junior resource. I'm a junior resource. I'm a good fit. Okay, what's next? We need someone that they always say this, we need someone who can field requirements and translate those into a configuration for Salesforce and whatever. And they use all these sort of these uppity words because they're trying to use technical words because they don't know what they're talking about. And they'll say a lot of times you'll see they say we need a developer, but then everything they describe is an administrator. They never talk about Apex. They never talk about Visualforce. They never talk about Lightning Web Components. They describe setting up users, building reports and dashboards, communicating with management and understanding requirements and building those into a project plan and delivering on all these things. And that's what they talk about. And very quickly you'll go, I know about all that stuff. I don't have 3 years experience, but I do have the certification. I know about 70 to 80% of the requirements they're asking for, I'm a good fit for. But then you walk away because it said 3 years experience. Don't walk away. Apply for the job. The other thing that I'll say is, because they're not going to get they're not going to get what they're asking for. And the thing is, if you're like everyone else, you're walking away from those. When if you would apply, you're going to be one of the few applying because everyone else at your level is walking away. So once you sort of understand how to look at those and go ahead and apply, I even did my last YouTube video I did. It might've been a couple ago, so don't hold me to that. But I did a recent one about LinkedIn, searching for jobs on LinkedIn. And I point out a lot of that where I even showed in the demo, I just happened to stumble across it, where 2 job postings were identical because it was the same recruiting company posting for them. So it's 2 different jobs, identical job posting, 2 separate companies. They're just copy pasting templates. Apply for the jobs and they are going to reach out to you. So don't focus so much on what you see, but focus on the description and understanding, am I a good fit for this role? The other thing that I'll say is search some other terms. Don't just search Salesforce. Don't worry about business analyst. Don't worry about developer. Don't put any filters on the job searches because again, you are relying on the person who posted the job to have posted it properly. And if you're relying on them to post it properly, you're making a mistake. So if you're clicking the button that says only entry-level jobs, you may have just filtered out a bunch of jobs that are a great fit for you, but somebody posted it wrong. If you search Salesforce Business Analyst, you may not find what you're looking for because they don't know it's called a business analyst, or they don't know it's called a junior administrator, or they don't know the difference between an administrator and a developer. They know Salesforce is really tough. I must need a developer. That's all they know. So back off on your search criterias. Just search Salesforce. And the other thing I would search is SFDC. A lot of people shorthand it, and not nearly as many, but some people shorthand it, and you can find extra jobs by searching SFDC that won't show in the Salesforce job search. So those are a couple of key things. Don't count yourself out. Apply for jobs and let the hiring managers count you out, but don't count yourself out. Otherwise, you're your biggest enemy.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, go ahead, Pallavi.
Sorry, there are too many questions.
Oh, no problem.
As Mabel was talking about, junior positions are probably entry-level positions. What are the hiring managers looking for in our resume apart from the certification, of course? So we are like a big, huge thanks to Cecilia. She's been giving us hands-on projects to be working on with Trailhead knowledge. But how do we like present that in our resume for someone to know, oh, okay, these people have certification and they have some sort of hands-on experience?
Yeah, that's great. So a few tips there. Do volunteer work. And a lot of people get confused about volunteer work. They think volunteer equals nonprofit. Volunteer does equal nonprofit most of the time. And if you're not aware, there's a website called volunteermatch.org where you can find nonprofit volunteer opportunities. Now, a lot of people stop there and they go, well, I applied for the volunteer opportunity, so that's that. You don't just have to volunteer with nonprofits. There are thousands of other companies that are not nonprofits that also would like some free help with Salesforce. So consulting firms are another great place to go. And it's like, whoa, why would a consulting firm want me? They want you because they're working so many projects with so many of these little menial tasks where it's install this app from the App Exchange and get it configured with the guide that comes with the app and get it set up for us and test it to make sure it works and then let us know and we'll do a final test. But you just saved us all this. One of the things that I sort of disliked the most as a Salesforce consultant was a new app from the App Exchange that I'd never heard of. And everybody wants it, but I'm really good at Salesforce and I'm Salesforce certified. guess what Salesforce has probably never asked you to do in Trailblazer? Install DocuSign, install some, all these other apps, install MailChimp, install, all these apps. And so I'm a Salesforce expert, but now this new app came out and this company wants it. What a pain. Is it a good experience? Yes. But man, if I could get a junior resource to go do that, they can read the guide just the same way I can and walk through the step-by-step and set it up and test it, and then give it to me. I'll give it a final test, and then I'll present it to the client. That's why you come so useful to consulting firms. And you might initially say, a consulting firm's never going to want me. But you would be surprised. And there are, I would say close to 1,000. There's right around 1,000 Salesforce partners right now. Anyway, there are, what I would say is reach out to Salesforce partners who have 50 or less certified Salesforce professionals working for them. What that means is there's a smaller chain of command, and you very well might type in info@ blah, 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 consultingcompany.com. And that email might go directly to the owner of the company because it's such a small consulting firm. And then you go, hey, these are my abilities. Here's a link to my LinkedIn resume. Here, my resume is also attached. And I would like to talk to you about how I can add value to your company. I'm looking for some pro bono work, volunteer work, to get my feet on the ground as a Salesforce expert, building my, career. And they're going to respect that. And at the very least, they're going to respond and say, not right now. Or they're going to say, Bradley's been giving that advice to everyone, and we had 100 people send us this email this week. So I'm just kidding. I'm not nearly at a level to impact something, but there's so many consulting firms that you can reach out to. And I think there are 400 listed that have less than 50 certified employees. And now your next question might be, how do you know? Like, how do you know how many consulting firms there are with less than 50 employees? Because did you know all of the Salesforce partners are listed on the App Exchange? So all you have to do is you can Google Salesforce App Exchange, or you can log into your Salesforce Playground, and you can hit the little 9-dot icon at the top, view all App Exchange. So you can go there, and you're going to see a tab that says consultancies. And you click on that tab, and you can filter this one. These people present themselves much better than job postings. So you can filter on this one, and it'll say, how many certified individuals do they have? And you can do anything under 50. And you can do whatever you want, but I would recommend under 50 to break down the chain of command and get directly to decision makers quickly. And then all you're going to do is, on the App Exchange listing, they are required to have an email address. And you just click the button for email, and you're going to email them directly. What I would also recommend is look at the reviews of that company. And I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't personally care what their reviews are. What I'm looking for is someone's name, because a lot of times in reviews, the customer will say, Brad helped me so much on this project, I would highly recommend him to anyone. Brad and his team were so helpful. And now I know there is a person named Brad who works for a company by the name of this company right here on the App Exchange. Now I'm going to go to LinkedIn, and I'm going to search for that person's name plus the company name. Or I'm going to find that company on LinkedIn, and I'm going to look at the people who work there. And then I'm going to find somebody named Brad, and I'm going to click his name, and I'm going to connect with him and send him a message and say, hey, I just shot a message over to info@yourcompanyname.com, but I wanted to personally connect with you also, and just let you know how excited I am about my career development in Salesforce and getting my start. And I would love to do some volunteer work for your company. Super passionate about Salesforce. Anything you need, I'm there. Let me know when I can start. And they're going to get it in the email inbox. They're going to see it on their LinkedIn page. And you are showing everybody can click quick apply on LinkedIn. Everybody can do that. An idiot can do that. You're showing passion. You're showing motivation. You're showing focus. You're showing that you can go the extra mile, and you're that type of person. So if you know anything about like influencing people, like influencers on Instagram or Facebook, the way that you influence people is you show up in front of them from multiple directions when they don't expect it, and you have a positive message that makes them feel good about something. And that is how you influence people. So if I see someone come to my messaging inbox and they say, hey, I checked out your thing on the App Exchange. You look like a great company. I would love to come help you. You just number one, you just gave me a positivity boost. You said it looked like a great company. You found me on the App Exchange. Cool. Now I'm going in my LinkedIn inbox. You found me on there. You connected, and you're sort of building me up, and at the same time offering your help with no strings attached. I'm going to respond to you. And if it's not me, it's one of the other 10 people that you messaged at their consulting firms. They're going to respond to you. So when we talk about volunteering and getting hands-on experience, don't limit yourself to nonprofits. There are many avenues, and those are just a couple of the ways that I've come up with to benefit my members. Trust me, I'm not a genius by a long shot. I've just been doing it for 10 years. That's all it is. And if you can sit down and think about strategically, what would I do to sort of get in front of someone? What could I do differently? You're going to come up with 2 or 3 other ways to do it that are different than mine, and they're just as effective as my strategies. So just keep that in mind, that once you focus on something and you're really trying to add value for other people, you will find ways to add value for them. And anytime you're adding value, no strings attached, you're going to create a positive influence on other people.
So
hopefully that helps.
All that Brad just listed, I'm doing that so that you can concentrate on your certifications. I'm putting you guys out over there. And the App Exchange list that he was talking about, I want each of you to become those consultants for Forte and boost us, and we can go above 50 certified consultants. So that's our goal, ladies. Okay. And then we will help other women that need that help, and we are going to get more projects for that. Next question.
Awesome. All right, Therese.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, so I kind of stumbled into Cecilia and the Salesforce thing during COVID because it was just, everyone in the house was working, and I'm like, I should be working and learning something. So but anyway, so I don't know a whole lot about Salesforce, except that it's like a glorified Excel. So I just enjoy that. So I'm like, okay. Ooh, what's this doing? Where do we click? Help me out. But so I'm trying to kind of understand the industry itself. Are there more independent? So it sounds like big company, small company, independent consultants, consulting company, and Salesforce. Is it just, so it's an ecosystem of people that are certified that just go and help deploy or adopt Salesforce? And as I'm learning it, I can understand why adoption is so difficult, because it's like, it's pretty tedious, right? As a salesperson to be like, oh, hit your contact here. I'd rather give my sticky note to the admin and have them kind of put that out there and make it work for you. So I guess I'm gonna try to understand, what is the mix of independent consultants to like working the Salesforce actually hire people and then give them to their 200,000 customers? And then also, how do you, when I'm assuming Salesforce does just new features, or just, as a technology company adds new things, how do you learn about those, and how do you kind of keep up with, the latest version of what's out there?
All right.
So those are kind of 2 big questions. Yeah.
All right, so upkeep is one topic, and then the other topic was, I've already forgotten it. It was, just sort of explaining the structure of the ecosystem.
Yeah, like, where are you in the ecosystem of just like jobs?
All
and, is it freelance? Is it, is it contract based? Is Salesforce licensed to these companies? And then you're there for, you have a team of 50 people. Do you work with IT? And then you're there for like 3 years, and then they move on to, to whoever the competitor is, like, so yeah, so kind of a more overview.
I do understand. Okay, so, and I think that's beneficial to everyone to understand sort of the, let's jump back and look at it from this very high level and look down on what's happening in the Salesforce world. So when you're looking down on everything that's happening in this big Salesforce world, let me first say that Salesforce doesn't operate like other companies, in that they're not trying to grab money at every turn. So for instance, what you described makes sense as a business model, right? Why doesn't Salesforce train up all of these people internally and then feed them to their customers and then take some money off the top? Because Salesforce isn't like that. They're not looking to grab money. They're looking to enable their customers and enable the resources individually. They're not interested in grabbing a little money here, grabbing a little money there. They're selling a product and focusing on the product and making the product better. And that's what Salesforce does. So they are completely detached other than that. Now, the only other way is they do have partners. So they have consulting firms that are partners. And the relationship that they have with these partners is that the partners go through sort of this little, you know, there's a small fee. It's truly nominal compared to the amount of money that you make in the Salesforce space. And the benefit of being a partner is that Salesforce, you're the first one on the list that gets called when Salesforce sells their platform to a new customer. So say mom and pop company down the road, they've got 50 employees, they're looking to streamline their back-end processes, they buy Salesforce. Well, that Salesforce account executive goes to his short list and goes, all right, I've got 5 partners that are a good fit for this size project. Let me give them a call. Because they've vetted you, you have a partner score, you have to have customer feedback surveys, you have to have X number of certified individuals working for your company in order to level up in your partner levels. So there's different things that score you as a partner. Part of that are the resources who work for you. Part of that is the feedback that you get. And part of it is relationship building, as far as when an account executive, that's the person who sells Salesforce to the customer, when an account executive calls you, answer the phone. And say, and it might be 8 p.m. at night, answer the phone and let them know that you are going to be there to help the client that they just sold implement Salesforce. Because if you're not picking up the phone, you could be a platinum partner, which is, it's really great if you're a platinum partner, we'll just put it that way. You could be a platinum partner, but if you're not responsive and you're not communicative, then you're just going to condition that account executive to call the next person on the list first. So there is that situation. So let me explain from a career development perspective. It basically goes like this. You start off as a junior Salesforce administrator or developer, whatever you want to do. You progress into a senior level. A lot of people will skip step 2. They don't go senior level. They jump right into consulting. Because you can be a consultant with 1 or 2 years experience and you'll do okay. It's a sink or swim situation, but you'll do okay. And you'll figure it out, you'll learn. And then you move up in the consulting firm. So you might move up to a delivery manager who's basically in charge of a team of administrators and developers. Or then at that point, you're going to be called something like a technical architect and a solution architect. But it's really solution architect equals admin at a consulting firm. Technical architect equals developer at a consulting firm. Are they expected to have more skills? Yes. But in general, that is what you're looking at. So you move into some of these lead roles. You might be a project manager. You might be some other type of manager for a team of people. And then you're moving up in the consulting world. And then from there, you can sort of choose the direction you want to go. So there's sort of the consulting way, or there's the W-2 employee at a company way. And the consulting way is you move up in the consulting firm. And the W-2 employee way might be junior admin, senior admin, Salesforce manager or IT manager at the company as you move up and grow with the company. Then there's sort of these people like me that exist sort of outside of the circle, and we are the freelancers. We're the independent consultants. So we're not, sometimes you might be partnered with Salesforce, but I'm not, and most of the people I know are not. But we sort of exist outside of the network, and we sort of sit outside and we use our networks to get deals. We use our networking and professional development skills to find clients. We have other strategies. We're not looking to Salesforce to feed us clients. We go find our own clients. And so why would we choose to do that? Because Salesforce for me is a lifestyle play. Yes, originally it was about making money. And then once you get into Salesforce, you'll realize you're going to make more money than you ever thought you would make in a career. And then you're going to start thinking, do I want to make more and more money, or do I want to develop a more relaxed lifestyle with Salesforce as a way to achieve that? And either one of those are respectable. You may want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, or you may want to scale back your income and only work 20 hours a week. So the easiest way to scale back your income and work less hours is to be an independent consultant, because then you can pick up 1 client or 2 clients or 10 clients, however you want your workload to be. And then you charge the rates you charge and you manage your projects just like you would at a consulting firm, but you're all by yourself and you're doing your thing and you're relying on the Salesforce Ohana and your networks. So that's sort of outside of the core Salesforce world, which is more like you're either a W-2 employee at one of their customers, or you're a consultant at the consulting firm who are their partners, or maybe you work directly for Salesforce. But that's really how the network works. And then you have these freelancers who kind of hang out right outside of that network and sort of, in a way, feed off of that network that's happening. Yeah. hopefully that helps answer your question a little bit, I hope. It is a little bit hard to describe, I'll admit. Upkeep that's an easier answer. I can answer this very easily. So Salesforce is constantly having releases, right? Like you mentioned, I think they do 3 a year is what they're doing right now. So 3 major functionality releases every year. New as of 2020, you have to upkeep each one of your certifications once a year. It used to be that you had to do it 3 times a year. Now it's just once a year. And the nice thing is, like, if you have the admin certification, and I believe it's the Sales Cloud and Service Cloud certifications, you only had, for a while, it was that you only had to upkeep the admin certification and that would upkeep the rest for you. But now I think that they've got everything built into Trailhead and it's really seamless. You just have to go in once a year. It's really just a Trailhead module and it teaches you the new functionality based on that certification. And then you have to take that module, pass the exam at the end, which is like a mini exam. And then you are now upkept on your certification going into next year, basically. So there's an annual upkeep that in theory is meant to help you learn the material that was released in the releases for the last year and stay up to speed on the latest functionality, basically. And right now there is no charge for the upkeep at this point. So that's all free once you get your certification.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions?
Kavita, you had a question. I saw you raised your hand.
Yeah. Yes, I do have.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Brad. I'm Kavita. Just an intro about myself. I have double masters. I have masters in information technology and masters in accounting. It's been a long gap since I've been in the work field. I just want to have an extension of the question my friends asked earlier. It's like, what's the best way to network ourselves and find a job, and what level of certification do you recommend to get into the job field? Okay, so great questions, by the way, and nice to meet you. So here's what I'll say about certifications, which may be a little, I'll call it counterculture. So it's not sort of the streamline that you're going to hear from everybody else. And you see all these people who are saying more and more certifications. Man, like, I'll tell you one thing, this is just me personally, this is not for you guys. But one thing that really bothers me is when I see those posts online that are like, I got 5 certifications this week. And I'm like, why? Why do you need so many certifications? And why did you have to get all of them this week? Like, what happened? And I'll say the first thing I think is, when I see somebody get more than 1 certification in a week, the first thing I think is, are you using exam dumps? And did you just buy a bunch of exam dumps, study them, and pass all the certification tests? Because that's not impressive. The second thing I think is, does your income and the job that you have reflect this expertise that you've added? Or do you even have a vision for why you're getting more certifications? So what I try to tell people is, get certifications based on an outcome that you're looking for. Don't get certifications just to get certifications to go on Facebook or LinkedIn and go, I got another certification, and have everybody give you a thumbs up. Like, don't worry about all that. Get certifications based on the knowledge you need for the place you are in your career and where you're looking to go next. If you want to be a CPQ specialist, get a CPQ certification. If you don't want to be a CPQ specialist, or your company doesn't use CPQ, then don't worry about a CPQ certification. So when you're landing your first job, the same applies. I see people come in and they have 5 certifications and they've never had a job. And I just think, what's the vision? Why are you're dedicating time to studying and getting certifications? Why not dedicate that time and energy into landing your job? Because you could put some more of that energy behind that, and then you would be getting paid instead of paying to have certifications. So when I look at that, I typically recommend that you do not need any more than 3 certifications to land your first job. And that is the high end. You need at least 1 certification. That's going to make your job much easier to get your first job. That is the biggest level of impact. So if you're looking at like marginal benefit, the marginal benefit of the first certification is huge. That's the difference between no one calling you back and 50% of people calling you back. The second certification gets you maybe another jump up. It might get you 80% of people calling you back.
And then once you get that third certification, you probably have 100% of junior level people calling you back at that point because you have 3 certifications. But once you get 4 and 5, I see no tangible benefit. And I actually see potentially sort of a negative impact of, why do you have so many certifications and no job? What's wrong with you that I don't know about? Because you seem to have the experience, but no one wants to work with you. I don't want to interview you because everybody else has probably already interviewed you and they didn't hire you for a reason. So I'll skip you and head to the next one. So I would just say, be careful with that. Max yourself at 3 certifications. If you have 1 or 2, you're in a really good spot going into your first job. And you need to stop focusing on certifications and focus on getting experience, which is through what we talked about: volunteering at firms, volunteering with nonprofits, working through this cohort to get some of that hands-on experience. That is what you want to focus on. And then it's about highlighting that on your profile. So it's about wording it properly to draw attention to maybe what you did at your last job. And your last job might have been 10 years ago. And just like when you're applying for jobs and you see 3+ years certification or 3+ years needed, and you write yourself off, don't be your own worst enemy. Like, don't worry about how many years ago you got experience. Don't worry about that, all that. You're already getting in your own way by sort of mentally blocking yourself. Give yourself the chance first. That's how you're going to get, no one's going to give you a chance if you're not giving yourself a chance. So first, get out of your own way. What I just heard is you are a double master's with accounting experience, and that's what you need to present yourself as. I have 2 master's degrees in these specific areas. I am an accounting expert, and I don't care how long ago it was. That's who you are, and that's how you present yourself. And don't draw attention to how long ago it was. Don't draw attention to things like, I raised my children and I dedicated to my family and now I'm getting back into the workforce. You don't have to draw attention to that. Just say, this is who I am. This is why I'm valuable. And I've seen some posts recently where people will interview and somebody will tell them that they don't have a shot at this. And then they'll interview next week and they'll land the job. And I'll say, don't let anything get you down. It's all about finding the people who value you because you know that you bring value. So don't worry about whether or not you bring value, because you do. You just have to find the people who realize that value, and you have to do a good job of presenting the value. So one thing that I say about screaming Salesforce, these are just my quick tips. LinkedIn profile. If you're not aware, LinkedIn is like, that's all there is to it when it comes to presenting yourself professionally online. Don't worry about anything else. LinkedIn is where it's at. Your background image. Make sure your background image screams Salesforce. If you have 2 certifications, have those certification logos up there in your background image. As soon as I hit your LinkedIn profile, what can I do? I don't even have to think. I can go, oh, they have 2 Salesforce certifications. I didn't even have to read anything. I see 2 logos sitting up in the background. I'm good to go. I already understand something about you. Then I look over at your profile picture, because this is my first impression of you virtually. And I look at your profile picture and I go, oh, they seem like they'd be cool to work with. All right, next. What is their title? What are they saying? Now, the one thing I'll say, if you have 1 or 2 certifications, there's no need to say, I'm a 1X certified Salesforce person. There's no need to draw attention to the fact that there's only 1 certification. Why would you draw attention to the number 1? That's, if anything, that's a negative. So don't draw attention to it. So I tell everybody, just say certified Salesforce professional. That could be 1, that could be 10. Nobody's asking. You're a Salesforce certified professional. That's all you need to say. If they ask, they ask. If they read deeper, they read deeper. That's up to them. There's no need to call attention to things that aren't necessarily beneficial. If you have 5 certifications, say 5X certified. But if you have 1 or 2, there's no need to draw attention to the fact that it's 1 or 2. Just say you're a Salesforce certified professional. Then in your about section, make sure that you fill that out and you say, I have a background in accounting. I did XYZ for 7 years. And you don't need to say you recently got certifications. Just say, I've obtained this certification and this certification. I really found these to be beneficial because I learned a lot about these specific things and now consider myself an expert in Salesforce core functionality. That's fair to say with no experience in certifications. You understand the core functionality of Salesforce very well. And then just, make sure that you're using keywords. Make sure you say Salesforce in your title. Make sure you say Salesforce in your about section. Why? Because just like when you go look for jobs and you say Salesforce business analyst, It's pulling LinkedIn or Indeed, they're trying to pull back jobs. Well, when a recruiter or a hiring manager is looking for a candidate, guess what they're searching? Salesforce. And guess what LinkedIn or any other search engine provides to them? It looks at your title and it looks at your about section first. And so if you have your title and your about section saying Salesforce, it's going to pull back for them and you're going to have recruiters reach out to you because that's the search engine that they're using to find you as a candidate. So keep that in mind. All of the things you're doing, it works both ways. So hopefully that helps answer your question. But I would say if you already come from a background in a certain space, like accounting, there are huge accounting softwares within Salesforce, like Accounting Seed or Financial Force. And these are huge accounting platforms that are built into Salesforce. And a lot of companies, they'll get these huge accounting platforms and they'll go, I don't know anything about accounting. I don't know about recognized revenue or any of these other concepts because I don't know about them either. I'm just trying to talk right now to the accounting side of things. I don't know about this stuff either. So, but all these other things about, and you're going to be able to use those tools. Plus you're a Salesforce expert. So you can come in and not only help them from an accounting perspective, but you can help them from a Salesforce expertise perspective. And now you're dually beneficial again. So if you have a background in something, bring it up. If you used to be in sales, bring it up because you could help with sales strategy, plus be a Salesforce expert. If you have a background in marketing, bring that up because you could help with their Pardot implementation and understanding how Pardot works, or Marketo or Eloqua, or all of these other marketing automation tools that a lot of Salesforce customers use. So just because you don't have Salesforce experience doesn't mean you don't have valuable experience, and make sure to draw attention to it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure.
You're almost close to our time. The one last question that I have for you, Brad, is through all your interviews, have you ever thought, oh gosh, I wish they had asked me this question, and what would that be? What would that question be?
So from what side? Is it when I'm interviewing people or when I'm being interviewed?
When you're being interviewed.
Yeah, I wish they had asked me a specific question.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. I don't know if it's going to completely answer your question, but here's what I like to do in interviews. And I don't necessarily wait for people to ask me questions. I'll just find a way to move into whatever I want to talk about. And I usually come to interviews with something in my back pocket that I would like to talk about. So if I never get around to it, that's my fault. But so I'm going to look.
Your back pocket right now.
All right, back pocket. This is my advice to everyone. When you are applying for a Salesforce job, you're not applying to be the front desk secretary. You're not applying to be anything else. You're applying to be the Salesforce expert. Guess what? Salesforce is a skill position focused on the back end processes of a company. I think we can all agree on that. It is a skill position focused on the back end processes of companies. So when you come into an interview, how cool would it be if you had some information about the back end processes of the company? Because that's what you care about. People say research the company. And you show up to an interview and you're like, oh, I researched the company. And I know that you're headquartered in Buffalo, New York, and you have 20 employees. And no one cares about that. That has nothing to do with your ability to help them as a Salesforce expert. What helps them as a Salesforce expert is you understanding their processes and understanding them as a company from a technical and back-end perspective. So the next question is, how on earth am I supposed to do that before the interview? This is how you do that. What you do is, I've got a template for this, but this is what I recommend, and it's very simple. Just create a document. It's going to have 3 rows or a table. And the first row is their phone call process. When you're contacting the company, this is what happens when you call them. This is what happens when you email them. This is what happens when you fill out their web form, contact us. And so you're going to set out these processes and you're going to say, I called you. This is what happened. Did I get a voicemail? I left a voicemail. Did you call me back? How many days did it take for you to call me back? Did you answer right away? You did. Did you ask me for my email address when I got on the phone? Did you Ask me other ways that you can reach out to me. Did you get my best phone number and maybe a backup phone number? Because if you're a Salesforce expert, you know data matters, and you've got to be getting data into that system to get back in touch with this person. The most convenient way that you can get in touch with them as quickly as possible. So I called, I got a voicemail. All right, got a voicemail. Plus 3 days later, I got a call back. This is what the call was about. This is where I think that process could have been improved. So you're documenting their process. You're saying this could have been improved. This is how Salesforce can assist with that process. I obviously didn't get assigned to the right sales rep based on my voicemail. And now I've been assigned to the wrong person. Now do that with their web form. Fill out the contact us page. Did you get an autoresponder saying thank you and some downloadable white papers to read through about their product? Did they call you? Did they email you with more information? Did they try to get a meeting set up with you so that they could try to sell to you as a customer? And how long did these different processes take? Was it too long? Was it just enough time? Perfect. Do the same thing with emailing their info. This is one where people struggle with. Like, you'll email and they'll say, thank you for your email. And they'll never email you back. And it's insane because it's not, their process isn't right on the back end. And you know that they have Salesforce, and if they're not utilizing it for all three of those processes, they're missing opportunity with this very expensive tool that they're paying for. So document those processes. If you want to take it one step further, document the process for a couple of their competitors. Do the exact same thing for a couple of their competitors. And then when you walk into the interview and they're asking you all these questions, you may or may not be doing well, and just say, hey, that's a really good point. Thanks for asking about that. By the way, I actually have this particular thing, and maybe you have a couple of copies of it and you hand it out to whoever's interviewing you. You say, so this is a flow document for your internal processes. And this is what I did, and this is what I found, and this is where I think we could improve. Or they might be really good. Make sure to uplift people as much or more than you bring them down. You might say, your phone process is on point. Like, I talked to 2 of your other competitors, I would have bought your product way before I bought theirs. But when I emailed your info@companyname.com, they emailed me back right away. They actually emailed me and asked me for my phone number right away, and they gave me a call. And their response time was so fast that I probably would have bought their product first going that way, just because how quickly I had the information, how quickly I was able to get a quote, how quickly I was able to purchase. So you're coming in as a prospective customer, and you really are going to get on the phone with these people and talk to them like you're a customer. And like, you might potentially buy their stuff. And you move through this process, you show them how they compare to your competitors, and you talk to them about Salesforce functionality and best practices that you've learned about in Trailhead that are definitely able to improve their processes and streamline this for their company. Guess what you just did? You just did something that no one else did. Maybe somebody came in before you with 3 years experience. They didn't do what you just did. So what you're showing them is like, whoa, this person came in, they understand their role at our company. They understand where Salesforce fits into our company. Not only that, they are motivated, they are focused, they are passionate, they are already documenting our processes, and they don't even work for us yet. Yeah, you're hired. You might get hired on the spot just because of how fast you blew them out of the water. And it doesn't matter if you have 0 years of experience, because you just showed me that a year from now, you're going to be a massive asset to my company, and I want you on board. So again, that is one strategy, right? That is one thing that I came up with in a silo in my own head that I've seen benefit people. How many other things could you come up with? How many other ways could you show value in interviews? And the last thing I'll say, I know we're way over on time, which is fine with me, but when you follow up on an interview, they might ask you some technical questions and you might bomb the answers, and you might say, I don't know. And you might say something and then you finish the interview and you go, that wasn't right. That was so obviously this other thing. I recommend following up, do an email follow-up 30 minutes to an hour after your interview. So this is what your interview should look like. You should interview. This is step one. You're in there, you're talking, you're trying to do your best. You're showing them your flow document, and then you leave the interview and you take a deep breath, but you're not done yet. You take a deep breath and you get online and you start looking up the questions that they ask you, and you start making sure you have the best practice answer. And then you immediately email them and you say, hey, I had such a wonderful time interviewing with you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to this opportunity. That's where most people leave the email and they hit send. That's not where you end it. You say, hey, those are some really interesting questions that you asked me about these 3 topics. I actually went back and researched, and I realized on the first question, I think I was pretty spot on for what you were looking for. But that second question, I think I actually gave you the incorrect answer. But with 15 minutes of research, I now have you the best practice answer. I have a knowledge article supporting this answer. And I'm showing you that in the real life job environment, I may not get the answer right away when we're talking. But if you give me 30 minutes at my desk, I will get you the right answer because I know how to use my resources and I know how to find the correct answers. So that's how I would follow up, is very quickly jump in. They might even still be on a break between you and the next interviewer, where they're going to be sitting there, maybe checking some work emails, and then bloop, there you are. And they're like, whoa, look at all this information. Look how fast they work. This person is like, they showed me that flow document. And then on top of it, we were already going to hire them. And now look what they're doing. So you're just showing, and I say, find a way to differentiate yourself at every single step of the process. And that's what you want to do.
That was fantastic. I think we should ask more back pocket questions. Thank you so much, Brad, and thank you to my cohort for making the time to come here and listen to what you have to say. I'm sure every tip of yours is going to be valuable in our journey. So
Great.
as Forte Consulting, what we are looking for each of the members of our cohort is to complete their certifications, get on their job, and be on their way. And in the process, lift up Forte and bring in more people to join in. So thank you, ladies. Did anyone have any final questions, remarks, anything?
I just have something, Cecilia. So Brad, how does it feel to be the highest paid Salesforce person?
I'll be honest. Salesforce has been a blessing in my life. I'll just put it that way. I wanted to be a high school teacher when I got out of college. And that meant that my pay was going to cap out at somewhere around 70 grand when I was 20 years into my career. And that was my expectation for life. And I was okay with that. It feels good, but I would say it feels a lot better being able to use that title or header to draw attention to be able to help other people. And I know it comes off a little crass sometimes, and a lot of people are like, whoa, this guy's so arrogant. Who would say that? And you're right. You are right. But I don't do it to boast. I do it to try to grab attention so that I can help other people see the same success that I've had. And I always tell people that I would love for someone to come to me one day and say, how much do you make? Because I'm pretty sure I'm the highest paid Salesforce admin. And I would go, that's awesome. That's incredible. I can't believe you're making that much money. You've got to get on the YouTube channel. You've got to start helping people. You've got to show people your strategies because we can help people. And my friends and coworkers are like, Brad, if you keep training people and helping people, you're going to bring on so many new professionals to the Salesforce space that you're going to diminish our income. And I go, could you not live making $130,000 instead of $160,000? Would that not be okay? And I think we can all benefit from Salesforce and landing these jobs. And it doesn't have to be a secret. We can help everybody else, and we can still live much better lives than we ever dreamed that we were going to be able to from a financial perspective. So yeah, it feels good. It would feel really good if somebody overtook me also. I'm just going to stay. I'll tell you this, that I'm focusing so much energy on coaching now that I will very likely not have that title in 2021 because I can't really count coaching income as freelance income. So chances are I'm going to start pushing clients to the side and bringing on new people to help start their careers in Salesforce. And that's going to be the main focus going into next year for sure.
When you're pushing the clients away, Forte would be more than happy to fulfill the project.
Perfect. All right.
So thank you so much, Brad, and everything that you do for the community, for anyone. I've been following your Facebook page as well as YouTube, and the reason I brought you here is because I see the value in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I know that you have a coaching product that you are going to be releasing, or it's already just released. Can you just give me a quick overview of that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's not something I try to draw attention to.
I know. That's why I'm doing it.
Yes. One big thing that I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce yet, but I'm just going to do it anyway because It's all right. There's a podcast that just came out called Talent Stacker, and they had their first episode last week, and I will be their first guest Tuesday on the Talent Stacker podcast. And it's a huge podcast. It's a branch off of another podcast called Choose FI. They have hundreds of thousands of active listeners. So the message is going to go out very strong. So what we're starting with next week. So if you want to join the Facebook group, Salesforce for Everyone, feel free to do that. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get an update on there, so you won't miss it there. We're going to release next week what's called a 5-day challenge. And it's a Salesforce Career Development 5-day challenge. And we're going to send you an email every single day for 5 days. And we're going to give you about an hour or two of actionable tips to start developing yourself to be prepared for your first job as a Salesforce professional. And you will be able to go from day 5, and you can do this thing all by yourself. You'll have the vision, you'll have the process in place to understand where you need to go forward and where you need to focus your energy. And again, it's a lot of what we talked about today. It's really geared towards beginners, maybe people who have never even heard of Salesforce, and to tell them, hey, this is Salesforce, and this is the power that it has. Now, most of you already know that, but it might be something to share with friends or family, or those people that you keep saying, Salesforce is amazing, and they keep saying, it sounds like a scam. And you're like, it's not a scam. It really is amazing. So the 5-day challenge.
Level marketing.
Exactly. It's an MLM scheme. So the 5-day challenge is a great way to introduce people to Salesforce in sort of this bite-sized chunk. So they get an email a day for 5 days. And to be totally transparent, on day 5, we do say, hey, if you want to do this by yourself, you can do this by yourself. If you want us to hold your hand and walk you through this, click right here to learn more. And there's a program involved, and it's a 6-month program. And we're calling it Salesforce 60K in 6 months. And that's basically our platform, is to say, we will guide you, truly guide you to making $60,000 or more in 6 months or less through this course, and it's actually a program where we have a 12-week pacing guide. We do weekly workshops. We're going to do resume reviews. We're going to do mock interviews with feedback. It really is comprehensive, and we are hoping to start next week and take the Salesforce world by storm. And I think we'll be able to do it.
Yes, you definitely will be able to do that. And good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
So ladies, make sure that we get on Talent Stacker, whether we are past that beginner stage or not. Let's still support Brad through this process. Again, thank you so much, Brad, for your time. And ladies, thank you very much. We've gone way over time, and thank you for staying around. Do we have any final remarks? Okay, we are great. Thank you so much, Brad.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you, Brad.
Bye.
Take care.
Hi, Brad. Thank you.